Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am going to be your host this morning for a wonderful design stream we have planned for you. And I am joined by my new friend, Justine. Justine, how are you this morning?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you and take in your process and stuff today. And I'm going to pass things over to you for an intro so you can talk a little bit about yourself and let everyone know who you are and what you do. But first, I would like to remind everyone that we have a really awesome lineup of super cool designers and segments going on today. So if you guys will stay tuned for all of the other designers that we have planned, please do check out the schedule below the video player if you're curious about what's coming up. And if you're over on YouTube, please come over to behance.net/live because that is where I am going to be reading the chat and interacting with everyone. It's where all of the helpful resources are going to be posted and all that good stuff. So come join us on Behance. And now, without further ado, who are you, Justine? What do you do? What do you love? What's your favorite flavor of pizza? All the important stuff that we want to know.
Of course, yes, pizza first. Oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Justine Mangum. I am the creator and illustrator of Winnie Weston. Winnie Weston is so dear to my heart. It's named after my grandfather. He passed away January 2020, and I just felt, oh my gosh, if I'm going to open up a company in 2020 during a pandemic, it's going to be named after my grandfather, who's so special to me. But yeah, I love art. I do art that is for just women, Black women, women of color. And I'll just show you a little bit of my Instagram. So yeah, just like really bold prints, bold color, beautiful brown skin, all different shades, different, Black hair, just showcasing like who we are as Black people, as Black women, as women of color. So that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm so happy to be here. I love Adobe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm really pumped about this because I got the opportunity to kind of go and look through your wonderful portfolio. And I was like blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, right?
I love it.
This is it.
Yes. I love to hear it.
So this is gonna be awesome. And what are you going to be working in today? Like how do you create this wonderful work?
Sure. So I work from Fresco, Adobe Fresco. Of course, when the artwork is done, that's when I transfer it to Photoshop and do some things there and make sure I put it in a little bit of a frame mock-up and put it on the website and make it look good. But as far as actually doing the actual digital painting and digital drawing, I do it in Fresco.
Awesome. I love Fresco. It's a thing that I use as well. And I'm really excited on not only to see you and your work, but also just to see how you use Fresco too, because I've found that like Photoshop, so many people use it in so many different ways. So I'm super pumped. I see so many familiar faces in the chat. I see Golden Rose is here. Cody Bear is here holding down the fort for us. Welcome in, Cody Bear. Laura, Valentino, Stegen, Edmund, Afroja, Valdera. Welcome in, friends. Please say hello and let us know where you are all tuning in from. I'm very curious. I know I see some regular faces in there, but if you are brand new to Adobe Live, please introduce yourself. We are a friendly bunch here. We are eager to make friends. And I'm sure Justine would love to hear just how many places some of the folks in the chat are from. That's one of my favorite things is just kind of like hearing all the different international areas and locations we have folks tuning in from.
I
And
love
in the
that.
meantime, maybe we can kind of jump into what you got planned. So what is our project for today, Justine?
Sure. So I have a couple things that I've already sketched out, so we can kind of just dive into, I think, what is one of the best parts of this whole thing is
Mm-hmm.
digital painting. It's so calming. It's like therapy, I think, for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, big time.
It's like therapy. So I will jump in to this one. I love her. I just love, she's putting on an earring, which I think she's me in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love her. She has like a little bit of like a twist on the top of her hair.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be kind of where I'm showing like how I actually do, um, how I add texture when you're thinking of doing hairstyles for women, also for men,
Mm-hmm.
but also hairstyles for women of color who have more of a kinky type of
Mm-hmm.
hair. Yeah, you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, I'm so living for this right now. You have no idea.
Right. I love it. I love it. So the first thing I really do is just jumping into doing the skin color. That is like the number one thing to pretty much try to master.
Okay.
So a lot of times I have like shades that I usually kind of know will work. But since I'm doing a live, let's just kind of be wild with it and see how it happens. But usually where I start is I like to think, okay, how brown of a person do I want them to be? Of course, because I'm doing usually Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I usually go around to the orange and yellow side, which is where you probably get more of the brown color.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I kind of just move it around and, play with it. Try to see, okay, do I want her to be that color or maybe this color or over here? So just playing around with it. But I think for today, I'm going to do here and we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how we like it. um Usually I like to kind of have make sure my brush is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I always think it's good to color outside the lines. Oh, hold on, what am I doing? I always think it's good to color outside the lines just to kind of have like an idea of, okay, what's going on here.
Just kind of block in those big shapes and really
Yes.
get the concept down. I love that. I think that that is one of the most important things, and tell me if you agree. I think that like when you're starting a portrait like this and you're doing like an over painting or an under painting,
Mm-hmm.
if you can use a big brush and start like mapping out those shapes, it is so much easier to get down like a really great concept and really see if your idea and your vision in your sketch
Mm-hmm.
translates well, rather than I see people sometimes hyper focusing, zoomed in super close with a teeny tiny brush, trying to like put in tiny strokes and don't know why when they zoom out they don't have like a smooth solid shape of a person or whatever it is they're trying to draw. And it's because, as you say, Master Justine here telling us how to do these portraits, using a huge brush right off the bat to block in those shapes is a really excellent way to map everything out and to see things
Yes.
clearly. I totally agree.
Exactly, exactly. So actually what I'm going to do, I didn't want to do this one first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back. You guys are going to be like, what in the world? I'm actually going to do this one because I just love like the detail of the bow and the whole look. So I'm going to start with this one first.
Yeah, no, let's do it. No, this is cool because now we've been spoiled because we got to see two of your sketches in the beginning instead of just the one. So
Right,
I'm living for it.
exactly.
You are just fine. I'm just like, you know what? Do we need to switch again? Do we need to go
I
to
think we're good
do
right
we
now.
okay, do we
And that's the thing about me, like as an artist, I'm so indecisive too. I'm just like, oh, do I want to work on this? And that's how I actually do my work is pretty much like, oh, do I want to do this? Do I want to
Mm-hmm.
do that? Like, so I pretty much will start something, sketch it out, and I'll come back and be like, okay, I sketched that out well enough. I want to do something else. Um, and then I'll do something else. And then I'll go back to that one thing that I started earlier in the day and say, oh my gosh, okay, I think I want to finish this now. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
right?
I think I always have like 5 or 6 different things going at once,
Yeah.
honestly, that I have to jump around to because sometimes I'm like, I'm feeling myself. I'm like, you know what? This is the bombest portrait I have ever done.
Yes.
I'm loving this. And then sometimes I'm just like, what am I doing
Right.
with my life? I need to look at something else because I am sick of this. So like I have to be able to move around. And I love that you also like kind of like change your mind and go to different things because I feel very visible and like validated right now.
No, it is a thing. It's a thing.
It
Like
is.
it's so hard. You know what I mean? Like my mind is like, oh my gosh, actually I like this color. Let me go back. And so you guys are really getting like the process of how Winnie Weston actually comes to be because it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of, do I like that? No,
Do
let me
I
go
like
back.
this? No, I love that. I would like to know if, for members of the chat, how
Mhm.
many of you also kind of have multiple projects going at once? And do you also often, just be like, you know what, nah, and just change up what you're doing or change up your process or your workflow? I find it really refreshing, to be honest, to have the ability to go and change through different things. And I
Mhm.
think that there's only so many hours you can stare at one piece
Yeah.
before you could actually ruin the piece, right? Like if
Yes.
you don't take a break and step away from something that you're creating, whether it's illustration or painting or design or UI UX or whatever it is that you're doing, if you
Mhm.
stare at that same thing
Oh
for
my
a long
gosh.
time,
Yeah.
it's kind of like when you look at a word for a long time and suddenly you don't know how to spell it. You ever
Right.
done that where you're like, is that how I spell? Because
Right.
like
Right.
that's a word I should know, but I don't recognize it right now. You stare at your painting and then all of a sudden you can't see the flaws and you may
Right.
make a wrong move. But when you take a break and you come back, it's usually better for the project.
Truly.
Um,
Well
Golden
said.
Rose says, I currently have multiple projects at once. Laura, I'm the same way. I jump around on projects. Cody Bear says, I get bored with projects so easily. I have difficult things I'm working on. Yes, oof.
So true.
Absolutely. Annika says it's important to take a step back. And when you go back to the projects, it makes you look at it objectively. I agree.
Yeah.
Another way to do that quickly, as I've mentioned in the past, is flipping one's canvas. If you don't have the opportunity to step away from a painting, if you flip the canvas horizontal and just look at it in reverse, it can
Mm.
actually like let you look at your painting with fresh eyes because it's in a different orientation, and that can very oftentimes allow you to see a flaw or something that you may need to fix.
Yeah.
um, Jess says they work on a million things at once. I can't work on one project for hours on end. It all starts to turn into a blur. Yes. Nora says
Yeah.
I have the problem of starting 1,000 projects. Wow, we are
We are
coming
all the
together.
same.
Yes, we are on the same page today. This is beautiful.
I
This
mean,
is
who
great.
knew?
Yeah.
Like, is this an artist thing? I don't know. I'm like,
It's
is
gotta
there,
be.
right? Like, is there one artist out here that's pretty much like, no, I do art and I go from like start to finish. I complete it in one sitting.
Yeah, if there's a magical unicorn in chat,
I
let
was just
yourself be
thinking that.
known. Yeah, I would like to know. Honestly, though, like, is there anyone that sits down and they complete their entire project all in one setting, like
Right.
right when they sit down? Or maybe not all in one setting, but if you only return to the same project until it's finished, does
Right.
anybody actually do that? And how does that work for you? Like, is it something that you force yourself to do? Or is it something that comes to you naturally and you just like that's just what you end up doing? I would love to know. um
That's a great question. I feel
Lorenzo,
like,
welcome in.
mhm.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off there. Go
No, no,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just reading some folks in chat. We've got
Yeah.
there's a gentleman in chat that has like an incredible name. His name is Steve Festus Casaboom, and
Wow.
I I just
Love that name.
every time he jumps in here, he's the man with the name. That's how it goes. So I just had to announce Steve. And a lot of other new folks that jumped in. We've got Just that came in, Ferry is here, Noor is here, Lorenzo is here. So welcome in everyone.
Awesome. Hi, everyone.
Alrighty. Dewani, welcome in. It's good to see you. Let's see. I am just loving this. I love that. So you're starting to kind of drop in the values and shading here.
Yes.
And I love how you have like lined this up. This is actually one of my most favorite kind of like lighting situations with that like I call it like the triangle of shade under the chin that just has that like sloping back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Oh my gosh, me too. I always feel like if anything, do a quick triangle.
Yeah, and it looks good. It's good.
Right.
It
It looks good. It's funny. It's like I think when people watch me a lot of times do like the digital painting process, I feel like people are always like, wow, that just seems so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of, you know, painting and doing art, especially when you're doing it digitally. Like for me, I, of course, love painting, physically painting using real paint. But there's something about using Adobe Fresco when you are literally like coloring outside the lines and you know that you can erase them. I think that is like the most wonderful thing.
Reach for that magic undo. Ooh.
I know. You're like, ooh, let me
Yes.
hit backspace. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like really, it's awesome because, you know, a lot of times in life we're told like not to color outside the lines. And, you know, I think being an artist, you can't color inside the lines. You cannot not.
It's funny all the rules that we grow up with for art, right? Like and versus like what I know now as an adult, like coming to like see Adobe and the people that work there and stuff, where everyone's just like, think outside the box, like, you know, like make something incredible. And then I remember like being in the 7th grade and someone would be like, well, if you're gonna use colored pencils, you can't use pastels too. Right. And I'm like, that is not cool. That's not chill, man. This is a mixed media class. Aren't I supposed to be mixing it around? Like,
right.
You know? And I just think that's hilarious that like now we get like this like run free, run wild, do what you want, you know, experiment. Like you do traditional and you do digital and you have like a healthy respect and enjoyment of both of them. And then like there's some rules out there that are so rigid, but I think it's hilarious.
I know, me too. It's like I don't know what happens, but I think it's so refreshing to kind of know that you can get to a place where you're like, no, I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm going to do what I want to do. And right now, I don't feel like coloring inside the lines.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Also, we got Biola in chat saying that bone structure, love. And I was just thinking the same thing because as soon as you started like really dropping in the shadow, I was like, ooh, those cheekbones, girl, you oof. Yeah, like,
nice. They're nice. Those cheekbones, yes. I love a good cheekbone. I feel like most of my art have that little like to define the cheekbone. I love it. And then from here, like I like to do like another level of just a highlight. Like a lot of times I like wearing makeup and I like watching people do their makeup on YouTube, right? And I love just like watching people highlight, right?
Oh
like
my gosh,
like shadow.
The contouring and the highlighting is mind blowing.
Mind blowing.
Like, give me those cheekbones. I want to be Wonder Woman too. Show me how
I could accomplish what you are doing.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So a lot of times with that, I kind of view it as that too, where, oh, it's a little too big. So a lot of times I view it as that too, where I'm kind of like, okay, there's always a shadow, but then there's always a highlight, right? That kind of just makes the face pop. And that's exactly what I do with my art. Or at least I try to have my art do.
No, you succeed. You succeed.
I love it. I know. It's like, do I
think,
like that? No, I don't.
I think it's really interesting too, because I'm the same way where I really love makeup and I really love like painting the contouring. And I think that it's come across in a strange way in my own art, and I wonder if you feel this way too, where like sometimes I paint and I paint a face the way that I would paint like the contour, but it doesn't necessarily look like my character is wearing makeup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
use the makeup contouring as a guide for like how to shade a face sometimes. And what's like really interesting is that if you look up contouring, like makeup contouring for faces, it even shows you where highlights and shadows go for different face shapes for people of different ethnicities, people who are, of different genders and different facial structure and like all this stuff. And so there's a lot that you can learn from the way people do their makeup if you would like to make an illustration look like a certain person, which is really interesting. But whenever I do that, I'm like, I'm not painting a person with makeup on. I'm just like painting the shadow and the shade of an actual character, which is funny. And then I realized that, like a few weeks ago, I was like, maybe I should try painting makeup onto a character, and then I was like, no. Ooh, gonna need some practice before this debuts. That's
I know, that's how I feel too. I'm like, makeup is another level. But I do like when people do like actual makeup on people. Clearly I don't put eyes in my on my illustration. So doing like, eyeshadow would definitely be a challenge for me. But
yeah. I
would love to see you try it though.
On my own face though. Like, you know what I mean? I still like, I've been using Photoshop for so many years. When I mess up my eyeliner, I reach for Control Z. Like I have a hard time. Anytime you guys see me show up with like my eyes fleeky, just know I spent 45 minutes in front of a mirror for you
to provide you
with the look. Today is not that day, as you can see.
It's a Monday. It's okay. It's a Monday.
Let me get into about like Wednesday afternoon before it starts getting fancy.
Oh, that's good. I was gonna say like a Thursday-ish. So you're good.
You know what? That sounds right as rain. That sounds like it will work.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's the crazy thing. I don't know if anyone is a lover of makeup, but I was the type where I would go to MAC cosmetic stores.
Oh yeah.
And I would just be like, I'm not looking to buy any makeup here. I might already have my own makeup. Like, I'm good. I would go just to see like when they would have the papers or the illustrations that show you like, okay, this is how this eyeshadow should look. Or I was like so obsessed with that. And I was like, can I just buy these illustrations?
Yeah. Can I just get this? I've gone like many a time into Sephora and like seen like some of the like the bigger makeup products like Kat Von D and like the Too Faced and Tarte and all that stuff, and like seen the packaging designs, and I'm like, how much for the display?
How much for they're like, for the makeup? No, for the display.
How much for everything else but the makeup, the pretty stuff?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. At this point, this is like when I feel like the skin is where I want it to be, at least right now. I like to clean it up just a little bit. Um, so when I'm working on everything else, I have like, a good clear vision of like, okay, this is what I'm working with.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when you do color outside the lines, you're like, wait, okay, what does that really look like? So I like to go back in and just clean it up a little bit.
And just kind of touch things up and start to bring kind of pull it out, and bring out that vision.
Right.
We do have a question for you.
Yeah,
Sonova Middleton says, Justine, is there any reason why you don't add eyes to your illustrations?
sure. What's so funny? That's a great question. One. And then two, I get that question so often.
Really?
And I do. If you go on my page, my Instagram, Winnie.Weston, people all the time ask me, why don't you do this? Like, I want to know. For me, I was always inspired by the artist. He's a Black artist. His name's Ellis Wilson.
Hmm.
He I back in the day, I used to watch, a bunch of different television, Good Times, like
Oh yeah.
right, like Living
Hmm.
Single, Martin, The Cosby Show, all that stuff like that. And his art was actually featured on The Cosby Show. And
Really? Oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna look
and
this up.
you
Ellis
should.
Wilson.
Ellis Wilson, I think two L's for the Ellis, I do believe. And he did an art piece called Funeral Procession.
Hmm.
And in his art, he pretty much gives no facial feature to his characters.
I have seen
And
so many of these. I just didn't
right,
know the name. Yes, absolutely.
beautiful work, beautiful work.
Yeah.
And I just, at a young age, watching that, I just was like, wow, like, why don't they have faces? I was curious myself. And I think as I got older and continued to kind of do art myself and really learn like what I wanted my style to be,
Hmm.
I always go back to that. And I go back to how I was so happy to be curious. Like, I was thankful for the curiosity that he kind of gave me as a gift, where I could create in my mind how these people looked um, walking back up to a church after the funeral procession, right? Or
Hmm.
after, the funeral happened. Um, so a lot of times for my art, I like to, of course I do an eyebrow, I do a little bit of a nose, and I do lips, but I think the eyes are definitely the window into people's souls, and if they're sad or if they're happy. Um, so I want people to be curious, and I want people
Hmm.
to like make up stories on their own of like, why does she have no eyes? Is she happy? Is she sad? What is she doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Is she going to work? Is she going on a date? Is she, she's sad? Like, so I think for me, I like giving people that gift of curiosity, which I think is what art should do.
Yeah, I 100% agree because I think that in a way your portfolio not only becomes like this beautiful collection of illustrations, but it can resonate to individuals in a way that is up to their own interpretation, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Sonova is asking, is it the painting over the fireplace? It is indeed. In the Cosby Show, the funeral procession
Yes.
is the painting over the fireplace in the
Yes.
front room.
It
Indeed.
is a little fun fact.
No.
A little fun fact for Monday. But yeah, I that's a great question though. I get that quite often.
Ferry says, makes it confusing and confusing makes it unique. Well, yeah, because I think you're probably like you're saying, like giving people that curiosity of like, what's this? And then like, kind of diving into it even further, which I think is really neat because it takes your art beyond, like this visual piece. Like you're gonna stop people and make them sit and think about something
Right.
for a little while, which is wonderful.
Exactly.
And I see you're
Exactly.
cleaning up these lines and stuff
Yes.
here. So once you start like cleaning things up, do you do a lot of that where you'll, because you mentioned this earlier, where you kind of
Mm-hmm.
stop every once in a while and clean up a little bit and then like go
Mm-hmm.
back into what you're doing? But I see you doing kind of like a full once over right now. So
Yeah, I usually do. Sometimes I don't, depending on like what I'm planning to start with.
mhm,
So for me, I'm planning to start with the hair.
okay.
So I'm kind of like, okay, I need to make sure I can see what I'm doing in that area. So like if you look down here, I haven't really cleaned it up that much
Hmm.
because I'm not doing the clothing yet. But when I get to the clothing, I'll probably do the clothing first and then I'll clean it up because it's kind of okay for me to not see what I'm doing at that point. But the hair, it can be so detailed that I'm kind of like, where's this, brown spot coming from? And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
that's from the skin. Relax.
Relax. My thing
Relax.
that I always am just like, if you ever been like searching through your file trying to erase a dot that is out of place and you can't find it and you're like in Photoshop I can like hold control or like I
Right.
press V to get my like so my move tool or my selection tool,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll hold control and just click it and it'll send me to that layer.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Mm-hmm.
Fresco, I'm like turning them on and off and like just trying to erase this one dot that's just like out floating in the middle, or just like a dot that's like on her eyeball and it's not a good look. And I'm just like, why can't I find this? And so I often like do a lot of like layer shuffling where I'm trying
Yes,
to clean things up, and it's kind of funny.
that's so true. I do that too.
Barry would like to know how do you determine the shapes of your subject?
Like the face shape or the body shape. Just
Oh, that's a good question. I
yeah.
imagined like they were thinking of like composition, in general, like how do you line up and decide what the portrait is going to be like? But I think, yeah, why don't we clarify, Fairy? Like, do you mean like the kinds of women that she chooses to paint, or do you mean composition, or how she, maybe this is not composition or specific to the character at all. Maybe it's legitimately like,
Yeah.
how do you actually form the sketch and build the character?
Yeah. Those are great questions. Depending, of course, which question that is, but they're all good. I mean, I think for me, it depends on, what I feel I've done a lot of. If I feel like
Mhm.
I've done a lot of women who are like face on, head on, I kind of feel like, okay, let me switch it up because that can get a little, you might feel like, okay, I feel like I'm doing another face,
Yeah.
forward person or composition.
Hmm.
Um, so for her, she has a little bit more of a tilt, which
Hmm.
I think gives it a different feel. Um, Rather than, if I'm always doing profiles. Now there are, I love artists who when they have a composition, they are like sticking to it. I love that because
Hmm.
they definitely they master that composition. But for me, I think sometimes I can get a little like, okay, what else do I want her to look like? What,
Hmm.
like, do I want someone like, I don't know, like, do I want someone um with their hands on their hips, or do I want
Hmm.
someone, like
Little
a
attitude
little
or like,
attitude, or
yeah,
are they
yeah.
kind of like thinking, are they just like drained from the day, are they think so? A lot of times that's actually how I come up with things, is I'm thinking of like, okay, what is this person doing
Hmm.
and how are they feeling? So if they're
That's nice.
feeling,
Yeah. Just like
yeah.
really, really connecting with the subject matter. I think, yeah, definitely like gives you some insight into
Mm-hmm.
how that might feel. And it opens up so many different ideas for pose and stuff when you're like, well, I'm gonna paint this girl, and I want her to like, I want this painting to be like sunny and it's going to be fun and whatever. But it's like, you could
Mm-hmm.
just do like another straightforward portrait, or like imagine yourself having fun in the sun, and what do you look like, and so
Right.
what could this person look like, and then you can kind of develop something that's a little more relatable. I really
Yeah.
resonate though with all of this, because I do a lot of other illustration, like some environments and some like prop design and creature design and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I love doing portraits. And my thing is where I'm sitting down and I'm painting a portrait and I'm like, oh no, I've accidentally done like another just straightforward portrait. How can
Right.
I make this more interesting? And that's like, I love doing portraits and stuff, but sometimes it is necessary, I think, as you say, to like really kind of contemplate the other
Mm-hmm.
possibilities and things that can be done in order to spice up what you're doing. And you
Mm-hmm.
can do like the same composition every time, because some people, that's, they become known for something,
Yeah. Oh,
and that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you want to change something up, then sometimes doing a little soul searching of the actual, the character that you're painting a portrait of, can be necessary to really like get involved, and get inspired and figure out what comes next if you want to make some changes. That's what I have to
Yeah.
do. Still a work in progress,
Yeah.
but
Yes, of
like,
course, of course. No, I love that because, I think a lot of times it's like creating a story for your art.
hmm
Um, and it's you kind of feel like you're a director in a sense, where you are, or maybe not a director, but maybe just a writer. Like,
yeah.
how like a writer, you pretty much are creating these characters. And I
hmm
think, for me and my art, and it sounds like for yours too, you really have to like create a character and
Yeah,
think
tell a
about like
story,
tell a
yeah,
story.
be a
And
storyteller.
yeah, and a lot of times, you, especially like when I finish my art and I name my art, I think of a story. I think of like, okay, where's this girl going? What kind of girl is she? Is she a city girl? Is she like, is she walking the New York streets, or is she a
hmm
California girl where she is like super chill and,
hmm
beach wave type of hair, or is she like, does she have an afro? Like,
hmm
what does she do? What does she look like? So I find that to be really fun, just creating those type of stories. It might sound crazy to people, but I like it.
No, I love it. I love it. We've got another question, a couple more
Yeah.
questions here. So Ferry has clarified he was asking about the face shape and body shape when he said how to determine shapes of your subject. And I think you've kind of answered that a little bit. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of relating with your subject and really thinking
Mm-hmm.
about her as a person and letting her emerge, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rawan has asked, could you explain how you go about adding texture to the hair as well as setting the right shape of it? Which I think is like a pretty great question, especially uniquely for this, because you focus so much on Black women and Black hair, which not a lot of people do. And if they
Yeah.
do, like I don't always see a lot of Black characters illustrated with an array of Black
Mm-hmm.
hairstyles, and there are so
Yeah.
many. So I
So
would
many.
love to know, yes, your approach to Black hair, and texturing hair, and all of the different, because I've seen like in your portfolio you have so many different like kinds of hairstyles and things, and
Yeah.
just maybe we can talk about that a little bit because I'm excited about that.
Yeah, sure. I love it. As we were talking, as you were saying that to me, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't think I like that red, which happens right all the time. Like, you're like, I don't know if I like the red. But as far as the texture of what I do, um, I think a lot of times, like with my hair, it's pretty. I would say my hair was like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you are thinking of trying to create texture, I think a lot of times, I think a lot of times if you can find an image,
Mm-hmm.
if you are not, of course, of African American descent, or have curly hair or know of anyone who has curly hair, um, I would say look some images up. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like if you look up images of just curly hair, and you see how they move, you see how the lines are. I
Mm-hmm.
think that can help you get an idea of, okay, so when doing curly hair, it moves like this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, you're
Kind of build
never
like a visual library, so to speak,
right.
like kind of build a frame of reference and then like look, like there's no shame in looking at reference, especially if you're, I think like if you're going to, illustrate a portrait that is supposed to like represent um, a very particular kind of person, then being as accurate as you can with what,
Mm-hmm.
a hairstyle like in this situation would be like is really important as well. um
Mm-hmm.
so like, yeah, look up that reference. Where do you go for reference, Justine? Like when you're looking things up, are you a Pinterest gal? Do you hang out on Behance? Or like where do you go when you need a source of inspiration, when you need to build a visual library? Where do you go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I like to, a lot of times, I like to actually start at home, which I think a lot of people are like, what? But I see pictures of my family, with friends, myself, and I kind of go from there. Um, so for me, that's like my starting ground of everything. Um, just because, when you look around, the people around you, you're kind of like, okay, she has curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try to go off of her and try to see like how that's going. But other than that, like if you don't want to use family or friends and stuff like that, I would definitely say I think Pinterest is good. Behance is of course good. I think just simply, I'm on Instagram, obviously. And I think just being on Instagram, you get so many images of like people and their hair. And if you follow hair pages and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, you really do get to see, um, just how things work
Mm-hmm.
and how things look. So I think if you are literally, um, like on social media, if you're on, the Pinterest side of things, you'll be able to find, examples of what you're looking for. And I a lot of times, a lot of times like to tell people just play with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you make a mistake, you just move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
erase it, or if you can't erase it, if you're literally doing it, um, with a pen and pencil, or painting, just add more.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, add more, move on to something else, in the painting, like keep going, I think I also have something that I'd like to share with you because I don't know if you know about this, but it might actually be
Yeah.
like really cool. And for
Mm-hmm.
anyone in the chat who doesn't know about this, when I am hunting down reference, or I am even if I like stop in middle of a project and I'm like feeling very uninspired, like I've kind of lost that mood and that feeling that I had when I was like working on it, and like that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of gone away. I do like to go and kind of like reinvigorate myself with new reference. And
Yeah.
something that I do is I use the Chrome plugin, the
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest Chrome plugin,
Mm-hmm.
which means that every single website I visit, in the Chrome browser, if I hover over an image, it has a Pinterest button that pops up on it. So I can save it to Pinterest. So like when I'm going anywhere, like if I'm on Instagram or any place, I can save like images that I see and always be building like a library of things that I love. And what it does is it sends that image to Pinterest. You can create a new board or whatever, and then it has the link to the page, you know, where you have it. And it's really cool because before I used that plugin, I would just like see something online that inspired me, and then I would be like, you know, I'm gonna have to go to Pinterest and see if I can find that, or I'm gonna have to go and see if I can find something like this to like put in my visual database of like cool things.
Right.
And now I can just save whatever I want, and then it has the link attached, so I can always go back to that original page if there's more things on that page that I wanted to look at. And I found that being able to save reference from tons of different places instead of only choosing from what Pinterest has to offer has really been
so
cool.
helpful.
That I have more reference that I love now, you know.
I love that.
And I have more things saved that have like almost like I have an emotional attachment, because that's the thing that I saw that made me go, wow, like I want to make something like that. And then I didn't have to go find something like it. I got to save that, you know, that thing. So it's a really good plugin if you guys have never used it before. It also will let you put Pinterest in dark mode or customize the background of your Pinterest. So
awesome.
Want to get fancy? It's really cool. My Pinterest is in space. I'm a galaxy Pinterest, space mode.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh. Especially like when you're looking at night. I know people are always like, oh, you shouldn't look at your phone at night because it helps you like to stay up, you know.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you do? I'm sorry. When I say I'm going to bed, that means I'm going to look at my phone for 3 hours and then I may be going to bed. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't look at my phone at night. That's how I recharge.
What? I'm like, no, I have like another 2 hours.
Yeah, when I say I'm going to sleep, I mean, I'm just parking the rest of my day in my bedroom. That's what it means. I'm not going to sleep.
Right. I'm like, no.
I'm getting on Twitter. This is Twitter time.
Okay. Or better yet, TikTok. I'm on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm getting on TikTok to see what the world is up to today. What have you done?
I love it. I'm like, what? Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I do put my phone into night mode to protect my baby eyes, because I was looking at my phone a lot like late in the evening with it on really bright, and I noticed I actually got on to like I got up in the morning to do some painting, and like my eyes hurt to look at my Cintiq, and I was like, oh no. So take care of yourself, take care of your bodies as creatives, because even though we sit a lot and look at things a lot and we're using our hands, it does affect your entire body, the way you use, you know, your body when you create. So stretch, don't strain your eyes, you know, drink water, eat, don't get sequestered in a project, and don't eat for 7 hours. Have a snack.
Oh no.
Get yourself my emergency can of like, you know, peanut mix like on the side over here, because I will forget, you know.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Take care of yourself.
It happens so much where you're like, did you eat today? No.
Oh no.
I finished the piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I finished my art, and people are like, I don't care about that.
Made that deadline, and they're like, but are you surviving? Are you like,
okay?
As if that's important. It is, folks. It is very important. I would love to know any things that you do just for self-care while you're working on projects and things. Like, what do you do to keep yourself like happy and going, stay motivated, or just things you like to do in like breaks in between? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. for me, I do feel like art does feel very self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Like art where it's not for anyone specific, it's just something that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that that is very self-care-ish, right? Um, but other than that, I love just like watching a good movie. Like, which is why for me during COVID, it's a horrible time. But I really did enjoy slowing down and being able to just watch a lot of content, whether it was movies, television, listen to podcasts, like, listen to music. It was just nice to kind of have that feeling. And yeah, like that's pretty much like what helps me to kind of keep on going, and also what inspires me as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch, you know, a show and I'm like, oh wow, I like the way they dress. Like I got really obsessed with watching, Saved by the Bell randomly
Mm-hmm.
during
Oh my
quarantine, right?
gosh.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And I was kind of like, I love how they dress, like that 80s colorful, bold
Mm-hmm.
color. And it made me go, oh, wow, let me do an art piece kind of based off of as if this girl was dressed in the 80s. And so it's like self-care, but it also turns into, oh, now I'm inspired and now I kind of want to do a piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what I do. I'm curious to hear what you do for self-care.
I kind of do like one of the things I do a lot is like exactly what you said, where I will do like create art for pleasure and not work, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it turns into being something that like kind of goes hand in hand with my like work.
Mm-hmm.
I developed like a new style recently.
Mm.
I play Animal Crossing. I love playing video games. And so I wanted to do some like fan art of Animal Crossing items and characters. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do like graphic design right now. I don't want to do a painting that's going to take me 12 hours to finish, because I do like whenever I paint, I do like a semi-realism, like dark fantasy style, and it takes a long time. And so I was like, what? I wish I just had like a cute, adorable style that was still painterly so I can still like really enjoy it, but like something that I could just do quick so I can make something that brings me joy quickly, and but it looks nice so I can still be proud of it. So if I would like to share this thing that I made, I can do that. And so I developed this style to kind of make like cute little items, game items, and stuff like that. And I love doing that whenever I need like a moment away from doing like the big paintings and stuff, and I just love that. So
Yeah,
yeah, that is what I love to do.
I love that. I think that is like great. You know what I mean? Sometimes with doing art, you kind of feel like you're in a weird place of, you're just like, okay, I love doing art. It's a passion of mine, and it feels like self-care. But then, when you do have a business surrounding art, you can feel like, okay, it feels like self-care, but in this moment right now, it doesn't feel like self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, you're kind of in those two places. So when you can kind of find that balance of the two, um, that is awesome.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think another thing that's really good, and maybe we can uh like maybe just talk a little bit about like self-care and stuff, because I think it's like a really big uh thing right now, especially with like going into the pandemic, being in the midst of the pandemic, and then like kind of I think like really getting the hang of like living now amongst these new rules. I think that
Yeah.
self-care has become something that is like so important to
Mm-hmm.
people, but also I think a lot of people were probably okay, actually, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Give me just a few minutes here, and we will be right back. We are back, folks. Hello, hello. I'm gonna jump in and pick up where we left off because I
Yes.
think there is a handful of people who are really tuned in to what we were talking about. We're like, wait, come
Yes.
back.
Where are you going?
Yeah, but I was saying that I think that, in the midst of the pandemic, like people kind of who there's because there's a lot of people online who are like really big advocates for self-care and taking care of your
Yeah.
body while you are designing and all of those wonderful things. But I think that for a lot of people, the pandemic was kind of a wake-up call if you weren't somebody who is like paying attention to your body and your emotions and all of those things. And it was a
Yeah.
learning experience for all of us.
Mhm.
Kind of diving into, okay, how do I entertain myself? How do I stay motivated and continue
Right.
working and do these things that spark joy every day and continue to live a quality life and be happy when all of a sudden all of the things that I used to do
Yeah.
that make me happy are unavailable. And so I would love to hear from the chat. What kind of things do you folks do for self-care? Because me and Justine
Yeah.
have kind of talked about our own methods, and I would love to just hear about everyone's creative experiences, like kind of transitioning into this space,
Mhm.
and what things are you still doing every day to kind of keep that good feeling going. You were
Yeah.
saying, Justine, that you love to create work that just brings you joy to create, and I kind
Yeah.
of developed a style that would allow me to create small burst work that makes me happy.
Mhm.
I also love watching movies and TV shows, like just doing something that inspires me creatively but does not require me to work. um,
Right.
I don't know, have you
So
seen,
true.
I don't know if you have Netflix, but there is a docu-series on Netflix called Abstract, and it
Mm.
is all about design. Um,
Interesting. I haven't seen that.
yeah, it's so cool. It is like it's something that I watched when I like just before I kind of developed a new like illustration style to work
Mhm.
with, because I
Mhm.
was like, gosh, I want to do new illustration, but I really don't know how to break away from my style. And we have a wonderful illustrator that comes
Mm.
to design for us here on Adobe Live quite
Mhm.
often, by the name of Kyle T. Webster. um,
Mhm.
and Kyle is like such a master of different styles, like I
Mhm.
feel like you can look at his portfolio and he's a master of art, and then you can see like, you know dozens and dozens of different styles and ways that he approaches art, and I really admired that. So I was like, maybe I will look at other designers that do
Yeah.
things completely different from me
Yeah.
and try. And there was one that, oddly enough, was the one that really inspired me. There is an episode of Abstract that is about a woman
Mhm.
who constructs buildings that organically grow themselves.
Wow. That's
Yes.
interesting.
Like she
Wow.
she she is like a bioengineer, and she has like this team of scientists that develop these materials that
Mhm.
grow
Mm.
beautifully too. So they look
Mhm.
like butterfly wings, like it almost looks
Mhm.
like alien spacecraft kind of stuff, but she
I
sets
love
things
that.
up in a way that like you can set it up and you can leave it there and it will grow a building that you can walk
Mm.
into. Or
Mhm.
when she first started teaching at the college where she is a professor, one of the first things she did was she took like 6,000 silkworms into the lobby and put them
My
on
gosh.
this like chassis that she built, and for a year she'd let them
Mhm.
like build with their silk this gigantic like mobile thing hanging from the ceiling that just looks like an art installation that somebody like created and hung up, but it's like these silkworms that are like making this huge work of art. And I was
That
like,
is
that is
really
so cool.
crazy. Yeah, that's like really crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it's
what? Is
Neri
this on
Oxman.
Netflix?
Yes, it's so, yeah, it's on Netflix, and
What?
every episode follows a different unique artist and their unique
Wow.
process of art, and it is such a cool thing. And so like looking, I would say one of the main things is like looking at stuff that's not necessarily like what I create, can inspire me to
Yeah.
make something new. And so, yeah, like I would love
I
to
think that's
hear folks in
awesome.
chat. What do you do for self-love and self-care when you are working, when you get stumped on a project and stuff? And what things not pertaining to your personal area of expertise do you find inspiring, and do you love to look at and take in when you need a moment of inspiration? I would really love
That's a
to
great
hear that.
question.
Viola's like, what? Yeah, and Chris, the room full of bees. Yeah, I was a little,
No
yeah, I
way.
was a little mutt. Like, I turned into Nicolas Cage so quick. I was like,
No,
not the bees! No!
no,
Not
Nicolas
the
Cage.
bees! But still cool. Just like count me out. I will watch from afar.
Right. I will watch from afar inside a home.
Yeah, I will watch it on Netflix, but please do not send an invite. I will not accept your Google Calendar invite to the bee room. That will
Right.
not happen to me.
That will never happen.
Yeah, but it was just really, really cool. And so do you have like what
I love
what if
that.
you had to choose, Justine, like
Oh Lord.
you're like, oh God, what
Oh gosh.
pop
No
quiz.
bees.
No, if you no bees. If you had to choose like a kind of design
Yeah.
or like a different like medium or area of expertise that is not illustration, that you just love and really brings you a lot of joy and improves the quality of your life, what would you choose? Like, what would be your go-to for that sort of thing?
Oh my God, that's a great question. When I think about improving my life, like helping to improve my life, I want to believe that pottery would be great for me. I want to believe it.
Friends, I love pottery. Oh no.
I want to believe that would be great. I like went to a performing arts high school, and my concentration was, of course, visual arts. So we pretty much had to do everything. So we did, I mean, literally everything. The only thing we might have not done was digital work, which is funny that I do that now. Yeah, but we had to literally learn how to like do pottery and painting and oil and sketching and all of these things, right? So when I did pottery, I loved it, but I did not realize how difficult that really is to do that.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I'm like, I like to do like pinch pots and like sculptures type stuff with the pottery. Leave me out of the pottery wheel circle. Like, I cannot throw anything on the wheel. Yeah, you know, the only thing that throwing pottery on the pottery wheel ever gave me is really smooth hands. Like, because it just like exfoliates, but the whole time I was like, it's too dry. Like, I'll try to like do, like, I see like kids sitting next to me and they just like do like a little, you know, with their tools, and they put like a cool design on the side, and I do it, and like the clay snags the tool out of my hand and throws it across the room, and I'm like, you know what, fam,
I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the way to go, but I love ceramics. I love raku ceramics, if you've ever heard of raku ceramics. For those of you in chat who are unfamiliar, raku ceramics is like a form of like Japanese firing. And there are some really interesting glazes and effects you can get with pottery. Basically, you would make a pot and you would glaze that pot, and you would put that into a kiln and fire it, and then you pull it out. But with raku ceramics, you make a pot, you glaze that pot, you put that pot in a kiln, and then when it's still red hot and glowing like lava, you open the kiln and you take the pot out while it's glowing red, and you put it in a giant container of combustibles like dead leaves or wood chips or newspaper or whatever, and you let it like combust in this thing, and you
Wow.
seal it up, and when you pull it out, it does crazy stuff to the glazes. So it makes, like, if you use a copper glaze, it will make your pot look like it's had like melted pennies poured on it. You can do
Wow.
gator skin glazes where your glaze will look like the back of an alligator with like metallic blues and purples and greens. It is so cool.
Oh
Look
my
up Raku
gosh.
Ceramics. It is so neat.
I know, I'm like on YouTube now.
Yeah, like I would add ceramics definitely to a list of things that I just love. That's not necessarily like what, because I haven't done ceramics in many years, but it's a love of mine. It's something I want to return to, and it's definitely something that inspires me.
I love that.
We also have some folks in chat chiming in with things
Yeah.
that really help them. We've got Fairy says, I like doing new things, watching Good Mythical Morning, and doing some boxing exercises. That's awesome, Fairy. Jess says crocheting. I also crochet, Jess. I don't know that I'm any good. All my blankets are lopsided, but I love it.
I know, it's like, I don't think I'm really good, but it brings me peace.
My mother thinks I'm excellent. She loves it.
That's good.
But she's the only one.
Right.
Watching movies or funny TV shows. Jess also says, Chris says, whenever I get visually stumped, I walk away, clear my brain by playing music or building something or whatever, get away from it, force the brain to stop thinking of it. That's excellent. Cody Bear says, I love getting out in nature to take a break from art. Golden Rose says, I invest in things to make my home more relaxing to me to help with self-care. That is great. That is so wonderful.
True. That's so true.
Sometimes I invest in a little bit of like mochi ice cream to help me get. I just discovered. Do you know what I discovered this week?
So good.
Can I tell you guys something that I know none of you have in your homes, and it might hurt you or pain you to hear me say that I have this, but I have mochi tiramisu Kit Kat bars in my house right now.
What? Where did you find that?
So Kit Kat has an exclusive line of like novelty specialty flavors, and their packaging design, like from a design standpoint, is super amazing because they have like these special bags that it comes in with beautiful artwork on it. And my my three favorite specialty, I have three favorite specialty Kit Kat bars.
That's
the
great.
Mochi tiramisu. They have green tea. And they also have strawberry cheesecake. Strawberry cheesecake Kit Kats, y'all. I swear.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yes. Look up Biola says send me some. I adore you, Biola, but no chance. No chance.
We're all like, can you send us some, please?
Can you just send me a sample? Can you? No.
Sample?
Where can you order some? You can get some on like Amazon. I think that I actually found the mochi tiramisu at in the next town over from me. There is like an Asian market that sells like a lot of Asian foods and ingredients that you would need for like traditional Asian dishes. So it's like a little, like a supermarket that caters to. There's actually a really large Asian community where I live, and so there's like a whole supermarket where you can go and like get these amazing foods and ingredients, and I love to visit it.
Awesome.
They had like this specialty candy section, and like boom, there was the Kit Kats, and I was like, guess who's coming home with Val? Guess who's coming home?
I can't wait for you to see my apartment. They're like, what?
Yeah, what are you talking about? There's some girl
about?
Dancing in the candy section. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so I would say novelty specialty Kit Kat bars definitely spark joy and make me a better designer. That's the long story short. Yeah, thank you.
That's self-care all the way.
It's a hard life I live, but I live it, Justine.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to eat these Kit Kats. And I will take one for the team, and
You
I will do
know,
this job. Yep.
good for you, Val.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, someone's got to do it. I don't
Somebody
know.
has to do it. Yeah. They have key lime
I love it.
pie Kit Kats. Are you kidding me? Now
They have
everyone, I'm so
everything
sorry.
now.
I know that somewhere, someplace, there's somebody watching at Adobe that's like, this is not design. They're searching Kit Kat bars now. This is.
Like, how does this deal with? But it does, because you have to feel
It does,
good.
yes.
You know,
Do things that spark joy. You
yeah,
know, do things that create a positive atmosphere while you're working, because those are the things that fuel creativity. And
yeah,
I, alternatively to that, I would say, you know, because this has been such a confusing, strange time recently, I would
yeah,
say even moments when you don't feel joy, I think, are even
yeah.
moments where you can become creative. I remember you know, sometimes the stress of things would like my sleep schedule was not
Mm-hmm.
great, you know, because it was just so different. And I remember like, okay, well, I'm not sleeping, but
Mm-hmm.
I need to turn this into positivity. I was actually just talking with Golden Rose, who is
Mm.
in chat, about this, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna draw in Fresco, and I'm gonna make
Yeah,
textures and do something. Like, you know, anytime I couldn't sleep and I was just having like, clearly, you know, that was not a moment that sparked joy. I was like, I'm gonna try and turn this into something. And that kind of went into developing a new style where I was like, you know what, I just scribbled with this brush yesterday,
mm-hmm.
and now I love that texture, and I'm gonna use that now. um
Yes,
do you have
that's awesome.
any like moments, Justine, where like maybe it's
Yeah.
not a joyful moment that you turn into creativity? Or do you just use those moments to, you know, those methods we discussed to like turn it back into a joyful moment? Like, how would you
Yeah.
say you work through that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are so many times, right? Especially during 2020, I think especially where when my grandfather had passed away, that was definitely a moment of like, I don't feel joy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel joy that he's in a better place, but I don't feel joy right now where I feel like, okay, yay, I want to create some art and
Mm-hmm.
be happy. Um, but I do think that freestyling, as you mentioned, like just having no type of, you know what I mean, restrictions on what you're creating, I think that did help me, and that does continue to help me as I go forward. You know, there are moments, even though you may be an artist, there are moments where you're just not going to feel like creating. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when you can step outside the lines and the box and, you know, just be like, actually, I'm going to create something really different, and I'm just going to put some colors on a paper and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that definitely to helps to break this thing that you may feel sometimes when you're creating, like it has to be perfect, it has to be right, it has to be this color, it has to da 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 da. um I think when you're not in the mood,
Mm-hmm.
going against all that you've learned, all that you've ever done, and just saying, I'm just gonna bring out a blank white sheet and just color away, and there's no rhyme, no reason, that does help me as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I had made that joke earlier about, like, you know, I thought this was a mixed media class. What do you mean I can't combine like colored pencils and pastels? But that was a
Right.
real thing for me, in the seventh
Yeah.
grade. I think it was the seventh grade. I was removed from a mixed media class.
Who would do such a thing?
Somebody who apparently doesn't know they're teaching mixed media, and I got in trouble for mixing the media. Like, they were like, yeah, they were like, you have to do the assignment and we're going to be using colored pencils for this. And I was like, well, then maybe you shouldn't put the pastels in the box with the colored
Right. Oh
pencils
my
and
gosh.
present it as an option. But I remember going through that, and I guess mixed media to them meant like, we're going to do colored pencils, and then we're going to do pastels, and then we're going to do watercolor and stuff. And I was thinking like, oh, it's a class where I actually get to like do everything at once. And
Right.
so like sometimes when I am uninspired,
Mhm.
just like, take that 7th grade teacher. I do art
Right.
all the time now, and if I want to mix the pixel brushes and the live brushes in Fresco all on the same canvas, I can do that. And I'll just
Right.
like slap some watercolor down. I'm like, now here comes the vector brush. What are you gonna do? Who's gonna stop me? Who's
Right. Oh my gosh.
No one.
Sorry. My thing like completely cut out.
Oh no, oh no.
I know. I'm like, what's wrong with you today? It's a Monday. I know.
It's fine. It's fine. It's keeping
It's
you
a
on your
Monday.
toes. It's
I
keeping you on
love
your
that
toes.
though. I love when like you know, been trained in art and you know, like your art teacher at the time is like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And you're like, no, I'm really not. Like, I'm doing it how I think it should be.
Mhm.
I love when people end up becoming artists and successful. Like you are like a successful artist. And I love when people can kind of be like, no, take that. I'm an artist now. Like I'm
That's right.
living the dream, right?
Yes. I remember the moment like it dawned, and I think that like, you know, even when you succeed and you're a full-time artist, like you still
Yeah.
have insecurities. Like everyone in chat who is aspiring to be a full-time artist, I want it to be known to you that like as a full-time artist myself, there are still struggles every day. So if you are stuck feeling right now like you don't have what it takes and you're not making it because you have insecurities, you are just fine, because it is something we all face. Like that is, you don't just like one day get like an owl doesn't bring you a letter from Hogwarts that says surprise, no more anxiety, you are now a full-time artist. It continues.
Never.
Through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never happens. There
Never.
Yeah.
I wish it did.
Yes, exactly. Me too. I wish. I just have like the mental image of the no post on Sundays scene right now in my head. But
so true,
that doesn't go away. And you know, when you're a full-time artist, I think that like you know, people say, you know, you made it, and then it's really easy to kind of like get down on yourself and like worry about stuff still. And one of the things that I do to like pull myself, my dog is banging at my door. I am so sorry. I have a dog. Let me in. He is like the size of a sub sandwich and he makes so much noise. I'm gonna send a super secret message to the group chat of my home to get him out from the door so I don't have to run.
He's like, I want to be involved in this. I feel like something good is happening.
He wants dog cam like really bad, but he's a monster. Oh
my gosh. I love it.
They've got like dog emojis coming up. Is it a dog emoji or oh no, that's an owl.
Yeah, I think it's an
But one of the things that I do is I like think back on like those moments when I was in school or I was learning something or somebody told me I couldn't do something, and then I realized that I have the power and the opportunity to do that now. And I think that whether you're a full-time artist or not, you still have opportunities to do that, where if you've wanted to try something creatively that someone tells you like you can't do this, make time for it and chip away at it anyways, because if you had the thought to make it, it's probably something that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And it's something that your creative heart desires, and you should try it out. And I mean, if your creative desire is like swinging from a building, spray painting, you know, along the way with like, you know, a hang glider and all kinds, like don't do something wild. Like if you're
don't do something wild, right?
To like oil paint the back of like a wild crocodile, like don't do that, maybe. But you know what I'm saying? Like don't blow it out of proportion, y'all.
Right. Don't go too far.
Don't go crazy. But you know, like find time for those things. There's going to be at least one person in the chat today whose takeaway from this is Kit Kat bars are delicious and don't paint gators. And I'm hoping that I've given more advice and you have given more advice than that being the takeaway. But
they are going to leave this takeaway like, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm terrified of bees and I never want to meet an alligator.
Right. Oh my gosh. They're like, I don't know what's going on here. But I love
am watching
it, right?
these baby hairs emerge, by the way. I'm living for
Girl,
them. I see them.
listen, there's
Ooh,
nothing like baby hairs.
ooh, they are, they are like I. So okay, so we're gonna talk about hair for just a moment. I
Yes,
got myself like a
love
little
hair.
thing of like, like the good pomade so I could do,
Yes,
and I didn't do them today because I got them.
neither
I
did
didn't do them,
I.
I just have them. But like I got it, and I was getting ready for the stream this morning, and I was like, oh, you know what I
Mhm.
could do is I could like slick my hair back and have my curls out in the ponytail and do like these little baby hairs. And now I regret
Yes.
it because I love it, and I it's so weird, like, because your work really focuses on Black women, and you do not shy away from like illustrating natural hair, and I
Yeah.
love that so much because like I'm a mixed race girl, and
Yes.
I feel like I like every day I see so many people who like they identify as Black, they are Black people, and they look so different, right?
Yeah.
Like there are
Mm-hmm.
so many different looks
Mm-hmm.
that can be, a person who is a Black person. There are, like, when you
Yes.
look at the range of Black women, there are so many women that look so different, and it's
So
like,
many.
I'm mixed and I'm half Black, and I am paler than my Irish mother, but I got
Right.
this hair, like it's just
That
it's
reflects,
so,
right.
yeah, so it's like I've like
Crazy.
the my mom is like, I wish I could do baby hairs, and I was like, it's okay, mama. I wish I could do a pixie cut, but
I
can't
know,
do a
without
pixie
like
cut.
having
Yeah.
to put heat on it all the
Yeah,
time.
just like, flatten it out. But yeah, that the baby hairs, like, they just like, they give me life. And I'm like, now that I got my little, thing upon, I'm gonna put some creativity into like being fleeky around the forehead area, and it's gonna
Me
be
too.
great.
Cause I didn't do it today either. I was just like, it is what it is. That's what we're doing. But my girl will have it. My
Yeah.
illustration.
You know what? If as long as her brows are fleeky, my brows are fleeky. If
Right.
I did somebody's eyebrows today. Golden Rose just typed in chat, tomorrow Belle's edges are gonna be laid. And I was like,
Yes.
yes. Now I'm
They're
gonna
gonna
have
be
to do it.
laid.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
gonna
Now
have to
they're
do
gonna be
it.
like, I
Now they're
expect you
gonna
guys' edges to be laid
yeah,
tomorrow.
I'm gonna be like looking in the camera, like, ooh. It's just
Right.
hold on.
Let me just lay it down a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Biola
Lord.
says, yep, huge spectrum. I shave my head and then grow it back and do something different. Yeah,
Yes.
I
I
had
love that.
dreads down my back for a lot of years.
Me
And I
too.
did like, I would like order, I actually ended up having to shave my head because my dreads were so heavy. It was like giving me a neck
Wow.
problem because I had like
Yeah.
stones and like trinkets and stuff like
You
hanging
had
in my hair.
everything
They
in
were
there.
like, ooh. I did like macrame around some of my dreads, and like just
Mhm.
like so much stuff happening. But I had like my like, I call it like the warrior's wolf tail, where I just had like my dreads on top. I had like the sides and the back of my head shaved, and I was like, that's
Wow.
right, I am Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender. Hear me
Clearly.
roar. Um,
Yes.
and then I
I
ended up
love
just
that.
cutting it all off, and I had like super short hair for a while, and then I dyed it, and then but it was just like so many different things that like I
You've done it
did with my
all.
hair. I tried I've never been like bald, like
Yeah.
buzz to the scalp
Hmm.
short, but I've contemplated it. I've contemplated it a handful of times. I just don't know. Like if I ever get to the point where I'm gonna go like full, because I describe my fashion sense as like Darth Vader chic. Like if I
Why can
ever
I see that right now? I'm like envisioning a whole
thank you.
collection of that right now.
Thank you. Thank you. But like if I ever want to go like full Sith Lord, like I'll probably like shave my head and just like put on a robe, do my eyebrows all fleeky. If you don't have hair but your eyebrows are fleeky, you're fine.
Oh, you're fine.
You're
Honestly,
fine.
like I love nowadays. I was just telling I think my sister this. I was like, to grow up in this day and age,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there are tough things, social media, COVID, like there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things happening, social justice issues rising.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But I will say, as far as like what young ladies are seeing on television and media,
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's more people who are just being themselves and
Mm-hmm.
feeling like my hair is pink today, or
Yep.
I'm bald and I'm feeling beautiful and I have a bold red lip on and I'm
Mm-hmm.
good to go. Like, I love that.
I do too. I remember one of the things that really inspired me, not only to create art, but like to be a little bold with like
Mm-hmm.
I would say like fashion and hair and makeup is creative expression. I think probably everybody in
Mm-hmm.
chat maybe expresses themselves with fashion and makeup or something in some way, you know, whether it's doing your hair in a crazy way or wearing a funky eyeliner or just wearing a t-shirt you love that, you know,
Yeah.
that has some art on it. But one of the things that really inspired me was there's a show that came out or a movie that came out a while back um, called Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And it was a movie that was based off of a comic series that I had read for a while. And
Oh,
Ramona
wow.
Flowers, she had like that bold pink hair, and I was like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, she's so awesome. And then she
Mm-hmm.
shows up to see Scott again the next day, and he's like, you're blue. And she's like, yeah, I changed my hair a lot. Get used to it. And I was like, that's right. And I
Yes.
was like, I want to dye my hair. And so like when I finally dyed my hair, it was like a hot pink to purple ombre of
I love
curls.
that.
And I look back at it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? But at the time I was like, I am the queen of the world right now with this hair. Like
Yes.
you know, it's great to like, you know, express yourself that way.
It's
Um,
so great. We need like a picture show. I need like a show and tell of like you with your dreads,
oh
you with your
no.
dyed hair.
It's on my Instagram still. It's still on my
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.
I definitely have to look
Unfortunately,
at it.
when I shaved all of my dreads off and I had the short hair, I went from like, you know, 25-year-old woman to like 12-year-old boy real quick. But but it took me 5 minutes to get ready in the morning, so who cares?
Okay.
Yeah. So I
I
see you're
love
starting
that.
to like drop in colors into your shirt and everything
Yes.
here. And I love
Yes.
this pop of pink. I think
Thank
that this is like,
you.
honestly, I think that there are I have like favorite colors that I think look so wonderful with like black skin tones.
Yes.
One of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite things is like colors like this, like these like bright, bold, like warm colors, a pink or an orange. I love something I love so much. I used to know a woman who made jewelry,
Oh,
and
okay.
she had very dark skin. Like
Mm.
it was so striking, you know. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like I had never seen anyone with skin like hers before. And she used
Mm-hmm.
to wear silver jewelry all
Oh,
the time. Like that was
beautiful.
her forte. And I
Mm-hmm.
swear she looked like a magical being. Like she just, it was like insane the way that how beautiful she was and stuff. And that is like one of my favorite like combos, because I think like when you're creating art, it's always fun to like do clashy color
Yeah.
combinations and whatever. And like um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, accenting with those bold colors or like like a shine of jewelry and stuff like that, I think just looks so cool. And it's something so unique that
Yeah.
like a woman with skin that is dark like that is a unique
It,
superpower that she has,
yes.
that she can like look that cool in silver. Like who
Yes.
else can do that, you
Who
know?
else can do that?
Who
I
else?
mean, literally, who else can do that? I love that.
Yeah,
I
and
love
it's
that.
just like it was like so cool. And that kind of reminded me of this, like seeing this this
That
color
pop of
on your
color.
yes, it's just like boom, there it is. And it's like it's so warm and it's so like it just feels like summer to me, you know. It's just
Yes.
so good. As you start like kind of getting into the details of the character and stuff, do you move
Yeah.
into creating a background afterwards? Like will we be seeing a little bit of that from you today, or is that for another time?
Yeah. I it depends, you know. Sometimes I like to keep it kind of like a blank color. So I
Mm-hmm.
might put like a blue background behind her. And then sometimes I do get really inspired and I'll just simply, I'll just do it as an example, but I'll just be really inspired and I'll be like, let's see what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I'm
just
like,
throw some stuff down.
just
Yes.
throw some stuff down and like, okay, what is like doing this over and over and over look like?
Mm-hmm.
What does that
I
really look
love
like?
that.
Yeah. So I think it all depends, especially if you look at my art, especially the new collection that I just came out with, literally, um, put it on in my shop on
Oh, okay.
Saturday.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
we
it's
can get a
fresh.
link in the chat to this because I'm sure everyone would love to kind of dive into it and check
Yes.
it out. Let's do it.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. It's WinnieWeston.com. It's
yeah,
my new
definitely check
collection.
it out, folks. Look at it. But
Yes.
so you were saying like it's that's something that you did like with this new collection is that you just like kind of dove in and experimented?
Yeah, it was something that I felt like, with everything going on, and I feel like with spring coming and, the vaccine is
Mm-hmm.
happening, and I feel like people are kind of feeling like, okay, I can see how we're coming out of this
Mm-hmm.
COVID world that we're in. um, I felt like I wanted to do a collection that really reflected how I felt, which was just really focusing on the color, focusing on the happiness that I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we are about to experience now that
Mm-hmm.
we are starting to emerge from um, 2020,
Mm-hmm.
what we've been through. So I wanted to make sure that the backgrounds, that the um, pieces of clothing, that the hair, the jewelry, that everything really did stand out and really make people look at it and go, wow, this makes me feel happy. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
like,
like ecstatic, even just hearing like the wholesome love and positivity that you speak about it with. I'm
mhm.
just like, I know I want this in my life.
Right.
So,
I
and I
need
haven't even
this.
seen all of them yet. So, like, I can just
Right.
already tell. Cody has got a link in the chat to Justine's shop. Everyone, please check out the WinnieWeston.com collections page so that you
Yes.
can see all of her work.
Yes.
And one thing I do want to call attention to, I think we have about 15 minutes left
Okay.
before it is time for us to take off. We are going to be um, welcoming some other designers on after us. I believe we will have a replay of our daily creative challenge directly after this, and then we will welcome Anna Daviscourt, who is going to be doing some motion with still
Ooh.
illustration, I believe, like conveying motion in still illustration using secondary action and like shape design and stuff, which I think
Ooh.
is really cool. So stay
That
tuned
sounds
for
very
that.
cool.
But maybe if you have any last minute questions that you would love for Justine to answer, this is an excellent time to put it in the chat. If you have been watching over on YouTube, please come over to behance.net/live because that's where we are going to be reading the chat. So if you are
Yes.
looking for any resources that we have posted, like the shop link for Justine and all that stuff, and you're wondering who the heck I'm talking to when I'm greeting people in chat, because you're over on YouTube and you're like, where is everybody? Like that
What's
Travolta
going
gif, like
on?
what's
Right.
happening? Where, what's going on?
I love that.
A lot of memes today. I love it. I love that you get all of my memes,
I
Justine.
do.
Like you are like right there with me today. This is
Girl, we
wonderful.
are like friends.
Yeah, we are just
We're
yeah,
on one
we are on the same wavelength right now.
vibe. Yes,
Yes,
we
we're vibing.
are.
But yes, please come over to behance.net/live and post your questions into the chat. Anything that you would like to know, you can even ask Fresco questions because Justine and I both use Fresco often. And if you have any questions about the program, feel free to ask. You guys can ask about basic illustration advice, things like that. Even feel free to ask questions about like what it's like doing the work and kind of like freelancing and doing the jobs that Justine and I do. Please do that. Justine has a very unique awesome kind of workflow that she has here, and we have the opportunity to talk with her today and tomorrow. This is super cool. So any and everything that you folks would like to know, please put it in chat. And also, because we have just a little bit amount of time left, I would warn you, Justine, if you want to just kind of like wind down in the next 10 minutes, so I'm not like abruptly like, time's up. That's like, the buzzer. Oh, there you go. Right. Hands up, pencils down.
Right. Like I'm back in school. Oh my gosh.
Yes. That is your time. Yeah, no, just, you know, I'll keep reminding you, so it's not an abrupt change.
Perfect. Okay.
But I love this. I love what you've done here, because you really, you know, you were talking about like, let's do these squiggles, and I was like, okay, and then like now she's got like a whole different top on, and I love it. Right. It is so cool. That's so great.
It's all about, I feel like, you know, the whole thing, like, yes, there are ways in which, you know, you can shade that will look good, but I really do think it really is about having like that childlike wonder of like, when you were a child, you just were kind of like, whatever,
whatever, on the walls, on my mom's shoes, on the TV screen, and everywhere. Like, my mom, I believe actually, like within the last few months, my mom did legitimately say like, thank God you became an artist, because like you ruined so many pairs of my shoes. And I was like, I will buy you a new pair of shoes, Mom. That was 27 years ago. Like, give it up.
Give it up. Okay.
Give it up, Mom.
No.
Alessandra Lopes has, or Lopez, Lopes or Lopez, please let me know, Alessandra, says, what is your advice? This is a great question. What is your advice for a Black woman illustrator like me on how to get through work rejections in the field? I think this is a really awesome thing to kind of touch on and offer experience. So yeah,
that's a great question. You know, I still go through it too. So for me, how I get through it is kind of feeling like, you know what, that wasn't the right company for me to work with, or the right person for me to work with right now. And I say that to say, you know, you can be rejected from one company or person, and then later on they might swing back around. So I think what has helped me is just feeling like, okay, they didn't want my work. I keep on moving. You know what I mean? And somebody will. Like, there are people who will love your art. Your art is special because you have created it. And I think helping myself to like remind myself, okay, my art is special. I'm special. And a company will want my art. A person will want my art, and they will, you know, they will support it. So I think it's just always talking to yourself and really, like, I hate
You're a hype man.
Yes, you are literally your own hype man of like, it's okay because my art is special and somebody's gonna love it. And I think the more you say that to yourself, when you do get someone who's like, I love your art and I want you to do something for me, you know, with it. I think at that point, you're kind of like, wow, somebody does love it. Like, I love it because I've been telling myself that I love it. And now it has come to be that someone else loves it and appreciates it. But I say this as well. I go through that all the time, where, you know, you might want a specific company or something like that. And it just may not be the right time. So for me, it's just remembering like, just continue to keep on doing your work and bettering yourself every single day, every single time. And I think eventually people will catch on.
Yep, I agree. And
Yeah.
I think there's there's like the aspect of like growing as an artist and applying for jobs that you're not ready for, or applying for jobs where they just simply aren't able to accept you because they've gotten so many other applicants, like keeping in mind the reality too of the situation. And I think that this hasn't happened to me often, but there have been times in my past, which I'm sure there are other people who can relate, where discrimination is an issue, and sometimes that can be really hard to deal with as well. Because whether we like to think about it or not, there are still things like that happen, in this day and age. And if, just in case that's also what you were specifically asking about, from my experience, Alessandra, and the thing that helps me to continue to push on and be a better person despite like things like that other people do, is to remember that if someone will reject you because of something that is intrinsic to your identity and the person that you are, they are just letting you know that you are much better off without them. You know what I mean? Like, those are not the people that you want to be beholden to. And it can be kind of a downer when you really have your heart set on something. But for me, and what has always been true in my experience, is that every time I was met with a wall like that in my career, I realized that once that door shut, so many more opened, because that clearly was not going to take me to the places I wanted to go. I was not going to feel enriched there and loved and respected by my fellow peers, and I can only move forward. I can only be carried to bigger and better things. And in a way, and not everyone feels like this, but in a way, I'm almost thankful for them showing me that, so I don't have to find out later when when I get there. It's just like, thank you for being blatant about it, because that person is going to get to where they're going being a person like that. And if you keep your chin up and you stay positive and you continue to make art that sparks joy in you and sparks joy in other people, and put that passion into what you do, you will only be taken to wonderful places.
Absolutely.
People will love and respect you and appreciate the time and effort you put into your work,
Absolutely.
So, like,
I think
there's a silver lining. There's a light at the end of that tunnel.
Yes, I'm telling you. And that is absolutely true. I love, like, of course, you never love when people show you who they are, and it's rude or it makes you feel like you're small or whatever. You hate that, obviously, but I think it does help you to know that good thing I didn't get that, because I would hate to work with you guys.
Yeah, can you imagine like working, like showing up to the office every day to that? And I'm just and oh my God. One of the things that makes me not angry about it either is that I realize that people who discriminate against and treat other people in a nasty way like that, they have to be them at the end of the day. Like, they have to be the kind of person that has that negativity in their hearts. And it's probably for a reason. And I am less mad that you would share that negativity with me. And I'm more sorry that you feel that. And I hope that those people find a goodness and a positivity and a beauty in their own lives. You know what I mean? And you don't have to take that karma with you wherever you go, because that's not something that's in you. That's something that somebody has done to you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It can be difficult, but I just say keep going. Keep doing what you love. Like, I think also at the same time, I think sometimes as artists, you can kind of go, you can kind of feel like, okay, I need to go with the trend. And that can also feel like if I don't go with the trend, then our brands or people are not going to reach out to me or like my art, share my art, whatever it is. But I think at the end of the day, you have to feel good about your art. And I think if you, at a certain point, I started to feel that way. And I remember my boyfriend just saying to me, like, just focus on your art, focus on what you're doing with your brand. And I'm telling you, people will see it and they'll notice that this is your authentic self. And I think that's the absolute truth in that situation. And also the situation of being a Black artist and not feeling like you are really getting the opportunities that other artists who look different from you get. I think at the end of the day, it's disheartening, but at the same time, it's kind of like a wake-up call of like, you know what? I'm going to do my art and I'm going to focus on my art and what I do, and something will come. Someone will come and something will come.
No one can rock it like you. Nobody can do it like you do. And I see these earrings that have come in here into this piece. And in the back of my head, I was like going through this discussion because it's very important, but a little voice in the back of my head was like, hey. And I was like, because I love it. I love it so much. We do have just a few minutes left here. We got about 3 minutes left. The last thing I am going to leave you with is we did have a question from Rawan asking if you could talk about your brush collection. Just maybe discuss the kind of brush that you're using right now.
Yeah, sure.
I can't remember if I touched on that. And while you are doing that, I would love to get some links in the chat to Justine's social media so that everyone can give her a follow while she is discussing these things, because we do have to take off pretty soon. So yeah, what brush are you using at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So as far as what I like to use, it's funny. I probably use like really basic brushes, but for the skin, I actually use a watercolor. I don't know why I like it, but I think it offers a bit of softness for the skin and that's usually what I look for when I do my skin. So I use the watercolor brush. And then for the hair, I need something that's a little sturdier. But that can sometimes change. So if you guys come back tomorrow, I will definitely be using a different type of brush to kind of show you different hair.
Cool. Yeah. I'm excited. We like do a little experimenting. This is going to be fun. Well, yes. We are kind of at the end here. We've got a link to your website in the chat for everyone to check out. And maybe you can leave us, Justine, with where is the best place to see and like keep up with your work? Is it your website or would it be like your Instagram? Like if somebody wants to be able to tune in every day and like, you know, kind of connect with you and see what you're working on, where's the best place for that?
Oh my gosh, definitely my Instagram, Winnie.Weston. That Instagram, I show you just like my process of how I'm creating things. If I'm doing hair, I'll show you like, hey, I learned this new technique to do braids. Check it out.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That is so cool. So please give Justine a follow on Instagram. That is all the time we have for today. Justine, it has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you this afternoon. This is so wonderful. I can't wait to join the stream tomorrow. I can't wait for everyone to see what you have planned. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Val. It was I love this whole conversation and the time with you. We are best friends.
Yes, we are. We are like this. We are like this. It has been wonderful. I do have to say goodbye because we are going to get cut off and I don't want to do that. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Justine. We will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time with episode 2.
Perfect.